Hello, Holy Spirit kindergarten and first grade students. It's Miss Hinton here. I'm coming to talk to you about how to make your easy pumpkin drawing. I wanted to step parents and students through this process so that you know exactly what it is you can look at and what it is that will help you with drawing the pumpkin with your student at home. All right, so we're going to start with a piece of paper. You have something a little bit smaller. You're probably going to have a white piece of printer paper. If you have something at home that is yellow in color, sometimes those are fun to work with as well. And then you need either an oil pastel. This one's Cray Past by Expressionist, a black marker of any kind. You can even use a Crayola black marker. So I'm just going to step you through this process on both white and yellow paper so you can see what we are doing today. So if you start with the instruction page, it kind of gives you an outline of what it is you're to do and then how to add color to it and cutting the pumpkin out at the very end. But I'm going to walk you through the drawing and teacher script in person today so that you guys have this as if I were teaching in the classroom. So the first thing you want to do is fold your paper in half. Crease it so you have a nice fold, and then unfold the paper. And we're going to do it on the white one as well, so I can show you both ways and kind of how this is going to look on two different kinds of paper, okay? Today, I'm just going to use a black marker so that you guys can see really well, and there's no question about that. So the first thing you're going to do before you even get started is write your name, your grade, and your group. That would either be A or B on the back. So if you're me, you would write Miss Hinton. I'm in art grade 1 and maybe I'm in group A. So you just want to write those things on the back of your paper so that when they're turned in, I know exactly who they belong to and how to get them back. After that's done and you've done the folding of your paper, you're going to make a dot on the folded line near the top of the paper. You don't want to go clear to the top. You want to leave some room for your pumpkin to grow and for a stem to your pumpkin. So come down just about half a finger's width down from the top of your paper. Then you want to follow that folded line down to the bottom of your paper and make a dot there. Not clear at the bottom, maybe just the tip of your finger's width from the bottom of the page. And I'm going to do the same thing on our yellow paper. So 2 dots, okay? Now, you want to follow the crease or the folded line towards the bottom of the paper, make that dot close but not quite at the bottom of the paper. Then you're going to take your marker or crayon and draw a curved line like a belly from the top dot all the way to the bottom dot. So what that looks like is also shown on the instructions. So these are the directions on how to draw the pumpkin. So we're going to do the first line first by drawing a straight line. Whoop, my paper moved. It's always important to use your other hand to hold your paper. Don't put it in your lap or tuck it to the side. You need to hold your paper with one hand, and then the belly. This is the very center of that pumpkin. All right, so that's step 2. So let's get caught up on the yellow paper. We're going to go straight down to connect our dots and then curve from one to the other. If this is hard for you and you're struggling to get all the way down there because that's a big line, try practicing drawing with your finger first and then take your marker or your crayon and draw your line. Okay, now we just continue this process from these 2 dots, starting in the middle and going way out and over. Again, practicing with your finger first definitely will help you. So you're going to make 4 lines from that center one. So 1, 2, here's my 3rd line. And so they get more round as you go out. And my 4th line. And then I'm going to do that on this side. 3 and 4. Okay, so now I have a giant pumpkin on my white paper. And I'm going to do it again over here. So I already have my first curve, so I'm going to do my second curve. Oops, see, I didn't quite get to the dot there. It's okay. My third curve, and one more giant curve back out and around. 2, 3, and 4. All right, I'm not looking for perfection here. It just should look like the center of a pumpkin if you're looking at it from the front. So you have 2 different options there. And then the last step is adding that wonderful stem on the top of a pumpkin. So you can make it like this, so it looks just like the example in your drawing guide. Or if you want a longer stem, maybe your stem is more viney, you could kind of draw it off to the side. Now remember to make it thick by going back and adding a second line around it. And maybe it comes to a point down here. I kind of messed up a little bit, but what we're going to do is actually just go ahead and color this in. Now, the tricky part is going to be cutting these out if you have something like this, and I will show you how to do that here in just a moment. But I'm going to color this in first as best I can here. I'm trying to do my best really quickly. As you color this in, it makes it a more solid line, and you can see the depth of it and how thick it is. But I'm coloring completely so that none of that orange paper shows through into my vine. Now, if you don't like black for your vine, you could color this green or brown. That's completely up to you. But the next steps when we start coloring the pumpkin in, you need to follow the color directions that I'm going to give you. And for that process, I'm going to use oil pastels just to show you a variation, but you can use crayons if that's what you have at home or any other supply you have. And I'm going to leave this stem white so that we can work on that here in a minute. All right. So the next step says, make sure your pumpkin is big enough. If you want to add another segment out to the sides to make it even bigger, you can do that. It's better to do that before you add the stem on, but I just want to show you. I'm a little wobbly with my lines today, but no pumpkin is perfect, so it's okay if your lines are a little wobbly. Now my pumpkin feels like it takes up more of the page. This one, I did a good job of spreading them out so that it takes up most of the page, so I'm going to stop with that one. But there you have the 2 different variations of drawing the pumpkin. Now what you're going to do, if you're working on white paper, you want to get some crayons or I would stay away from markers, but yellows and oranges are great for pumpkins. Of course, they're seen as orange. We're going to work on the white paper first, so you want to start coloring in each section. So as you color, if you're using oil pastels, you can blend the colors together and have a little more fun with it. If you're using crayons, it's a little more difficult, but you can still color it in. So color in the sections. I'm going to start here in the middle. And then I'm going to go in and add a lighter yellow right over top and watch those colors kind of blend together within those sections. So using warm colors, red, orange, and yellow, you will have a very nice color for your pumpkin. So you see how those kind of blend together and become this amazing color. So if I hadn't left the white in the middle as much, you wouldn't see as much of the yellow that I'm coloring in. So I left the white intentionally so that we can color and still see all of the details and see all the colors I'm putting on too. So you kind of have to push a little bit. You might get these little crummy guys from the oil pastel. You just want to kind of shake your paper off over a trash can because the stuff does get everywhere. And it will not come out of clothes, so be careful. Parents, if you're afraid of that, please feel free to use, my oil pastel just broke. Please feel free to use crayons if you're worried about a mess. Those don't get as messy and definitely won't ruin any clothing. So, so you can see the variations in that pumpkin. Now I want to show you what that would look like doing the same thing on the orangey yellow paper, okay? I'm actually going to start off with a lighter color first. Let's see if I can see it. It's very faint. I'm just going to add some color to the middle, and then I'm going to come back in with a darker orange than I used the first time and really add in some other colors here. Again, I'm coloring each section individually. If I were to just scribble across the top, it would be really obvious. It would not give me that look of a pumpkin, all right? So you want to work top to bottom, coloring in each and every section. All right, let's bring in some more yellow on top of this orange to really give it that smooth look that a pumpkin has. I apologize if the camera is shaking a little bit. I do have to push kind of hard on a darker piece of paper. It's harder to get those yellows to show up because of the color of the paper. But it's a little more forgiving because you don't have to color in every single spot perfectly. And the oil pastel really gives you that opportunity to blend your colors together a lot more. So I'm going to go with a lighter orange here. Just kind of get some color into the next two sections. And then I'm going to go in and add some yellow to it. So you see how much lighter that color is compared to the center ones where I use that darker orange. So if I do darker orange with the lighter orange, I think I get my best results. And sometimes you have to practice on another piece of paper before you begin coloring. All right, that is the process. The last step would be to cut out, pastel crumbs everywhere, would be to cut out the pumpkin. So I want to show you how to do that with that fun stem. So you would of course cut around the pumpkin. So you want to go to the very outside edge, hold your paper with one hand. I'm using really big scissors because it's all I have available, but you obviously want to use something small enough for your student. And you would slowly go around the edges. And then when you get to the stem, don't cut it off. You want to carefully come up and around, following those lines very carefully and going very slowly so that you don't ruin that wonderful stem you just drew and colored in. So I'm just going to cut that piece off and then come back around here. And you got to be gentle so that you don't rip the other part that's holding onto the pumpkin. So don't pull it too far off the page. This can take some students a long time to grasp. So if it's difficult for them, please just, email me and let me know if they're struggling with cutting. We can always add some other stuff to their work so that they get better at this. That's a little bit simpler. But if you get frustrated and you cut your stem off, you can always tape or glue it back together. Sometimes accidents happen and we just have to figure out how to work with it. Like my scissors right now are not cooperating. Sometimes when those little pieces get in the way, I just cut them off so that they're not in the way. All right, back to the big pumpkin shape. Now that we've cut around that whole vine. And I have this little center part. This is something parents would probably have to help their students with, or you can simply leave it like that. If you want to help your student, the best way to do it is fold it in half and make a little tiny slit in the center, and then stick your scissors through and cut in all four directions so that it looks like a star or a plus sign shape. Mine's kind of slipping out of my hands. And then they can get their scissors in there a little bit easier and cut those little triangles out one at a time. That's the easiest way I know how to show you guys what it is you could do to cut those out. Oh, I went a little too far on that last cut. So my stem is getting a little weak by doing this, so I have to be very gentle and go slowly. So I'm just using the tip of my scissors to kind of move my paper around and get all those little pieces out of there. With the cutting, I'm looking to see if they can follow and stay on the lines. I'm looking to see that they can cut neatly and not cut the pumpkin apart in pieces. So really staying on that outside line and cutting all the way around your pumpkin. Of course, you want to make sure it's completely colored in first. I did not finish that step, but I showed you how to do it in 2 different ways. So the last thing you would do is cut out your pumpkin. One thing I did notice is that if I wrote my name in the corner, if I cut the pumpkin out, I'm going to cut some of that off. So maybe it's best to put your name on at the end and make sure it's right in the middle of your pumpkin. So that would be your last step now. Name the grade of your student, kindergarten or first grade, and their group letter. Are they group A or group B? So you would just write that letter A or B and circle which one they're in, okay? I hope that helps explain how to make our wonderful pumpkins. This is kind of an easy start to our school year projects, online students. My students in class are doing something a little bit different, but I just wanted you to see what your options are and how to go about that. I hope you guys have a great time with this. I will post this video to my YouTube channel. Mrs. Butler will share this information, and I'll also put it on my Google Classroom if you have access to that, and Digital Academy Classroom. So you will have access in 3 different places to this wonderful video. I hope these instructions help, and don't forget, as parents are working through with your students, what to say to your child as you're working is in the teacher script, and then letting them see this pumpkin drawing guide will really help them know what steps to do. And with watching my video, that will help them as well. I hope that explains everything. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me and send me an email or leave me a message on Digital Academy. I'd be happy to get back to you. Thank you so much. Have a great day.